A young billionaire, used to commanding boardrooms and making impossible deals, drove through a quiet, struggling neighborhood, expecting nothing beyond the usual. But then he saw her, a small 11-year-old girl, sitting in a worn wheelchair, holding a single plate of food. Her hands trembled slightly, but she was smiling as she handed the meal to another child, one even smaller than herself, who shivered in the cold. She had nothing left for herself, and yet she gave everything she had. The billionaire stopped, hidden behind the tinted glass of his car, watching in disbelief. How could someone so young, so fragile, act with such courage and selflessness? In his life, he had built empires and amassed wealth beyond imagination, but he had never seen generosity like this, not the kind that comes from the heart without expecting anything in return. And then came the moment that would change everything. The girl looked up and noticed him, her eyes meeting his for just a second. There was no fear, no expectation, only calm, pure curiosity. At that moment, he realized that this child's world was a place of struggle and hardship, yet her spirit was untouchable. She had survived loss, poverty, and illness, and still chose to care for others. He stepped out of the car, unsure of what to say, and in that instant the universe seemed to pause. What would happen next? Would she trust him? Would she allow him to help? Or would she push him away like the world had taught her to do? Nobody could have predicted the words she would speak, words so powerful they would leave him in tears, and begin a chain of events that would transform their lives forever. This is the story of how a simple act of kindness set off a ripple that reached far beyond a single street, a single meal, a single girl. Before we continue with this incredible journey, I spent countless hours researching and crafting this story to bring you something truly meaningful. If stories like this touch your heart and you want to see more acts of kindness that restore faith in humanity, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. It means the world to me and helps these important stories reach others who need to hear them. Now, let's see what happens next. The city wakes slowly, but in one forgotten neighborhood, cracked sidewalks, faded paint, flickering streetlights, the day begins long before the sun rises. Inside a cramped one-room apartment, Maya Lawson, 11 years old, presses her palms against the wheels of her chair and rolls herself toward a tiny window. Her legs, thin and unmoving, rest still beneath a blanket. Outside, she watches kids walking to school, something she used to do before the accident that changed her life. Her grandmother, Mama Ruth, coughs from the kitchen corner, another reminder that Maya's world is held together by love, but only barely. Maya, quietly to herself, another day. Try again. Her morning routine is slow, deliberate. She brushes her hair, folds her blankets, and rolls to the kitchen to help her grandmother pack small snack bags they sell on the roadside. The earnings barely cover bills, but Maya never complains. She hums while she works, sketchbook always nearby, filled with drawings of communities healed, helped whole. Little worlds she dreams of. On the street, adults greet her with heavy smiles. Children ask her to draw them superheroes. Maya always says yes, despite being in a wheelchair, despite losing her mother, despite being raised by a grandmother who is fading day by day. Maya uplifts everyone around her, but deep inside, she fears something quietly. Maya's greatest fear is being a burden to the only person she has left. Today, though, something unexpected is about to happen. Across the city, where skyscrapers shine like polished silver, Ethan Cole wakes up in a penthouse that feels more like an empty museum than a home. No laughter, no warmth, only silence. He walks past shelves of awards he never cared for, screens displaying stock numbers he's tired of winning, and rooms so large they echo every step he takes. His assistant's voice comes through his earpiece. "Sir, today's charity event in Eastwood is at noon. You can attend remotely if you prefer." Ethan pauses. Remote was always the plan, but something inside him, something he can't explain, pushes him to whisper, "No, I'll go in person. This choice will change his life." Ethan's car glides through the broken streets of Eastwood, the contrast painful. Children playing barefoot, shops boarded up, struggling families lining up for donated meals. Ethan stays in the car for a moment, watching, hidden behind tinted glass. And this is when he sees her. A girl, frail, smiling, rolling her wheelchair toward another child. She has only one warm meal in her lap, and she hands it away. That single gesture slices through Ethan's chest like nothing ever has. A girl with nothing, giving away the only thing she had. His father's voice echoes in his memory. Kindness is weakness. Don't forget that. Ethan slowly opens the door and steps out. This is the moment their worlds collide. Maya looks up, surprised to see a man dressed in a suit far too expensive for these streets. She doesn't recognize him, but she does recognize something in his eyes. Loneliness. The same kind she feels on nights when she cries quietly so her grandmother can sleep. Ethan kneels beside her, unsure what to say. "That was very kind of you." Maya shrugs with a shy smile. "He looked hungrier than me. For the first time in years." Ethan smiles back. And just like that, a spark is lit. Before we continue with this incredible journey, I spent countless hours researching and crafting this story to bring you something truly meaningful. If stories like this touch your heart, and you want to see more acts of kindness that restore faith in humanity, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. It means the world to me, and it helps these powerful stories reach the people who need them. Now, let's see what happens next. The sun dipped low over Eastwood as the young billionaire crossed the cracked pavement, unsure why his steps felt heavier than usual. He had attended hundreds of charity events before, most from the comfort of a conference room or through a pre-recorded video message. But nothing had prepared him for the small figure he'd just witnessed from inside his car. The girl sat in a worn-out wheelchair near the edge of the community center, handing away the only warm meal she had received as if it were the most natural thing in the world. There was no hesitation, no second thought. Just instinct. Pure, effortless generosity in a place defined by scarcity. He approached slowly, almost cautiously, as if he feared the moment might disappear if he moved too quickly. The girl noticed him and straightened slightly, watching him with a mixture of curiosity and politeness. Her eyes carried a brightness that didn't match the poverty around her, and her small hands, resting on the chipped rubber of her wheelchair wheels, revealed hints of strength far greater than her size. He commented quietly on what he had seen, how she had given her meal away. She answered simply, almost confused by the question, saying that the child had looked sadder than she was, so she wanted him to eat. Her tone wasn't self-sacrificial. It was matter-of-fact, like stating the sky was blue. She didn't view her action as extraordinary. She viewed it as normal. Necessary. Right. That answer struck him deeply. In the world he came from, kindness was a strategy, generosity a performance. But here, in front of him, kindness was breathing. Real. And painfully simple. A volunteer passing by recognized the billionaire but pretended not to stare. Instead, she explained to him that the community center only survived because of the girl and her grandmother. Despite their challenges, they baked small batches of snacks, organized tiny raffles, and used whatever little proceeds they had to keep the building running. Many children in the neighborhood had nowhere else to go after school. This center, fragile and aging as it was, kept them off dangerous streets. And somehow, an 11-year-old girl in a wheelchair was one of the reasons it was still standing. The billionaire turned to look at the building. A long crack ran down one wall like a scar refusing to close. The windows were patched with tape in uneven lines. The paint had peeled away in large flakes, exposing the bare concrete underneath. Children sat on crates because there weren't enough seats, yet they still played and laughed like joy wasn't something that needed perfect surroundings. The contrast between the building and the spirit inside it stunned him. The girl's grandmother called out weakly from across the street. Her voice wavered, each cough sounding like it scraped painfully against her lungs. She waved at both of them, trying to keep up a smile despite the strain. She was proud, so proud, but exhaustion weighed on her every step. The billionaire noticed it immediately. The slight tremble in her hands, the way she held the railing to keep from collapsing, the thinness in her arms that revealed months, maybe years, of putting others before herself. Something shifted inside him. Something heavy and familiar, though he couldn't yet name it. He felt himself wanting to help, not through a foundation or a publicized donation, but here, personally, quietly. For reasons he didn't fully understand. He didn't want cameras or applause. He didn't want anyone to know. He wanted this girl, and the grandmother who loved her, to feel relieved, protected, supported. It was an instinct he had never felt with such clarity. Without drawing attention, he stepped aside and called his assistant, instructing him to arrange a full renovation team to arrive at the community center early the next morning. He demanded no logos, no sponsorship banners, no PR coverage. Just labor, materials, and immediate repairs. As he spoke, he watched the girl out of the corner of his eye, noticing how she was politely refusing offers from other volunteers who tried to give her extra food. When one of them insisted, saying she should keep a portion for herself, she only replied that someone else probably needed it more. He continued giving orders quietly. Food supplies for the center, safe equipment for the children, repairs for the playground, warm clothes for families who had none. All anonymously. All urgently. When he walked back to her, he held his phone out for her to order a meal. She hesitated, her small fingers hovering above the device as if touching it would break some unspoken rule of her life. She whispered that she had no money for delivery fees, and the billionaire found himself smiling in a way he hadn't in years. He told her she didn't need to worry. Everything was already taken care of. She looked up at him with shy gratitude, her face softening as if she hadn't eaten a warm meal in days. As she browsed the menu, she glanced up again and asked the question that had followed him his entire life. Why he was helping. But her voice wasn't suspicious. It wasn't greedy. It wasn't hopeful or manipulative. It was simply curious, as if she truly didn't understand why anyone would go out of their way for her. He took a moment to answer. For the first time in years, he allowed honesty to surface, telling her softly that seeing her earlier, seeing the way she gave without thinking of herself, had reminded him of what true kindness looked like. She blinked at him, surprised, and quietly insisted that she didn't know much about kindness. She claimed she just liked making people smile because smiles made the world feel less heavy. He realized that he couldn't remember the last time someone had made him smile simply by existing. The grandmother finally reached them, leaning heavily on her cane. She thanked him with a warmth that felt fragile, her gratitude mixed with embarrassment, hope, and fear all at once. The billionaire saw immediately that she was terrified of burdening him, terrified of accepting help, and even more terrified of what would happen to her granddaughter if anything ever happened to her. It was all written in her trembling smile. As the three of them stood there, an exhausted grandmother, a girl with a generous heart, and a billionaire who suddenly felt like the poorest person among them, a quiet bond formed. It was delicate but powerful, the beginning of something none of them could fully grasp yet. What would you do if you discovered someone with incredible kindness living in such difficult conditions? Someone whose heart shone even when the world around them was dim. What began as a simple encounter was quickly becoming something far deeper. Something that would not only change each of their lives but ripple through the entire community in ways none of them yet imagined. The following morning arrived quietly, the kind of morning that feels hesitant, as if unsure whether it should bring hope or more heartbreak. The city was still shaking off a light drizzle from the night before, and pale sunlight crept across the skyline as if trying to warm a world that hadn't asked for comfort. But somewhere high above the streets, in a penthouse filled with silence, someone else was also trying to decide what to do with the ache in his chest. The young billionaire had barely slept. He had spent hours replaying the sight of the young girl in the wheelchair, her gentle smile, her trembling fingers, her way of speaking with a courage that seemed far too large for her small, fragile body. Most people he met in his carefully curated world were armored with pride, wealth, and loud self-importance. But she had spoken with a softness that carried more truth than he had heard in years. She made him feel something he had almost forgotten existed, the desire to protect someone without expecting anything in return. He wandered through the glass-lined living room as the city stretched awake beneath him. He had everything, yet he felt nothing living in all his expensive quiet. The more he thought about the girl, the more he felt that strange stirring in his chest again, a pressure he wasn't used to confronting. For most of his life, he had avoided the deeper corners of his emotions. His decisions were calculated, logical, built from numbers and projections. But this was different. This wasn't a business deal. This wasn't strategy. This was a child whose life had been shaped by loss after loss, yet she smiled as if life had handed her nothing but gifts. He poured himself a cup of coffee, but it grew cold in his hands untouched. He sat down, elbows resting on his knees, and whispered to himself that maybe, just maybe, he was supposed to help her. But how? He knew nothing about children. He knew even less about children with disabilities. The thought scared him more than he cared to admit. But the fear didn't outweigh the pull in his heart. The memory of the empty wheelchair in the hallway flashed in his mind. The sorrow in her grandmother's voice echoed behind it. And he remembered something else. The girl's words from the day before. The way she had said she didn't want to be a burden. How she had tried to make the world easier for everyone but herself. The world had failed her repeatedly, yet she was still more concerned about others. He stood up abruptly. The sudden movement felt like a decision forming. He grabbed his car keys, shrugged on a jacket, and headed downstairs. The driver rushed toward him as he always did, but the young billionaire waved him off. Today he needed to go alone. Some decisions needed stillness. Some required him to feel instead of delegate. The drive across town took him through crowded streets filled with people who didn't know his name or his face. People who lived in a different version of the city. One shaped by survival, not comfort. His sleek car looked out of place against the cracked roads and aging street signs. He parked beside the orphanage's small entrance and inhaled deeply before stepping out. The air smelled of damp pavement and morning bread from a bakery down the road. It felt human in a way he hadn't experienced in a long time. Inside, the hallways still held the soft echo of children's laughter from breakfast. The matron greeted him with surprised eyes, clearly not expecting to see him again so soon. He asked quietly if he could speak with the girl. The matron's face softened immediately, her shoulders sinking with the kind of relief that comes from knowing someone cares. She led him down the hallway toward the small room where the girl was writing in a notebook, her wheelchair beside her. She looked up the moment he stepped in. Her eyes brightened, but not because she expected anything from him. It was the kind of brightness born from simply being happy to see someone she genuinely liked. Children don't pretend affection, and hers was real. He approached slowly. He asked if he could sit beside her. She nodded eagerly, her small hands clasped together as if she didn't quite know what to do with her excitement. He asked her about the drawing she was working on. She shyly turned it around. It was a sketch of a tall building with a garden on its roof. She said it was her dream home, the kind where she imagined living someday. Not a mansion, just a place where sunlight touched everything and flowers grew all year long. She said she didn't need much space. Just a room where she could see the sky and a garden she could look at when the days get too heavy. He felt his throat tighten. He didn't understand how she could dream so gently in a life that had given her such harsh edges. She talked about her grandmother, about her favorite stories, about the way she liked the sound of rain on roofs. He listened carefully, fully present for the first time in months. Then, without fully realizing he was saying the words aloud, he asked her if she would ever want a home where she didn't have to feel alone. The girl blinked in surprise. She asked quietly what he meant. So he told her, slowly, cautiously, as if afraid of startling something fragile, that he had been thinking about helping her in a more permanent way. That he wanted to give her a home. That he wanted to take care of her. Her breath caught. Her fingers curled tightly in her lap. For a moment she said nothing at all. Then her eyes filled with tears, and she whispered a question so soft it nearly broke the room in half. Why would someone like him want someone like her? The question hit him harder than anything he had prepared for. He told her she didn't have to earn anything. That kindness wasn't a transaction. That she mattered simply because she existed. She shook her head, insisting that she didn't want to be a burden to anyone. That people leave once they realize she needs help with everything. He leaned forward and spoke gently, telling her he wasn't going anywhere. He told her that sometimes people come into our lives not to fix us but to walk with us. And he wanted to walk with her. The moment stretched quietly between them. Slowly, cautiously, she wiped her tears and whispered that she didn't know if she was brave enough to accept. But she wanted to try. She wanted to believe someone could stay. Outside the room, the matron listened silently with her hand pressed over her mouth. Something extraordinary was beginning. Something fragile, beautiful, and deeply human. As winter tightened its grip on the city, the days seemed shorter, the shadows longer, and the uncertainty around the girl's future heavier than ever. Her grandmother's condition fluctuated like a fragile flame fighting to stay alive, and though the girl tried to hide it behind her brave smiles, she could feel everything slipping through her fingers. The man kept visiting, never announcing himself, always checking in with quiet respect. He brought groceries without claiming credit, paid for repairs no one could afford, and funded medication without ever asking for gratitude. Yet despite all he was doing, he sensed an invisible wall forming around her, built from fear, grief, and the silent knowledge that her life might soon change forever in ways she couldn't control. The turning point arrived on an icy morning when the grandmother collapsed. She was rushed to the hospital, and the girl waited in the corridor, fingers clenched tightly around the wheels of her chair, fighting to stay strong. The man, who had been at a nearby meeting, abandoned everything the moment he received the call. When he arrived, he found her alone, trembling but refusing to cry. Without hesitation, he sat beside her, and without asking permission, she leaned into him for the first time. It was the beginning of a shift neither of them fully understood yet. The doctors delivered the news gently, acknowledging the grandmother's decline but offering a sliver of hope if she received consistent care and reduced stress. The girl exhaled shakily, grateful but terrified of what might come next. The man didn't wait for her to ask. He pledged to cover the medical expenses entirely and arranged private nurses to assist. The grandmother protested initially, insisting no stranger should carry such a burden, but he responded with quiet conviction. He said that helping them did more for him than they could ever know. For the first time, the grandmother softened toward him. From that moment, he became a constant presence in ways deeper than money. He attended medical consultations, handled paperwork, and made sure the girl never had to navigate the hospital alone. Slowly, the grandmother began to trust him, seeing not a wealthy outsider but a man who cared without seeking praise. The girl, watching all of this unfold, began to feel something she hadn't allowed herself to feel in months: security. But as the crisis stabilized, a new challenge emerged. A social worker, alarmed by the grandmother's unstable health and the girl's condition, initiated discussions about possible future guardianship. The girl overheard part of the conversation and froze. The fear she had buried deep resurfaced violently. Fear of being taken away, fear of losing the only home she'd ever known. That night she couldn't sleep. The man returned late to check on her and found her awake. She tried to hide her tears, but her voice cracked as she asked what would happen to her if something happened to her grandmother. He knelt beside her, promising she would never be alone again, not as long as he lived. This was the moment he realized he wanted more than simply helping her. He wanted to protect her, guide her, give her every opportunity he himself never had. The idea of adopting her surfaced in his mind like a whisper, soft but undeniable. He didn't tell her immediately. He wanted to speak with the grandmother first. When he finally did, she listened silently, tears gathering in her tired eyes as he explained his intentions. She asked him if his desire came from pity or loneliness. He answered honestly. It did not come from pity but from a profound respect for the girl's courage, spirit, and goodness. He said she deserved a world of stability and possibility, and he wanted to give her that world if she would have him. The grandmother, moved beyond words, gave him her blessing, but insisted the decision must come from the girl. When he finally revealed his intentions to the girl, it happened in the community center he had helped repair. They were alone, surrounded by the faint sound of distant laughter from children outside. He explained softly that he wanted to adopt her, not to replace her family, not to take her away, but to give her a permanent home and ensure she would never have to worry about the future again. She listened quietly, her hands twisting nervously in her lap. Her eyes filled with tears, and though her voice was small, it was steady when she finally responded. She told him that she cared about him deeply and that he had changed her life in more ways than she could explain. She told him he had become someone safe, someone she trusted, someone she believed in. But she also told him something that pierced his heart. She said she could not let him give up his life, his freedom, and his future just to take care of her. She didn't want to be the reason he lost anything. Not his time, not his dreams, not his family someday. She said she couldn't accept being someone's responsibility, even if she loved him like family. Her words broke him open. Not because she rejected him, but because even in that moment she was thinking of his happiness before her own. Tears slipped down his face, silent but uncontrollable. He took her hand, telling her she was never a burden and never would be. He told her that wanting her in his life wasn't a sacrifice. It was the first thing that had ever made his life feel full, real, and meaningful. She cried too, overwhelmed by a mixture of love, fear, and hope. Their conversation marked a shift. Not an ending but an awakening. The girl realized she was allowed to accept love, not just give it. The man realized that family wasn't something inherited. It was something built through chosen moments of compassion, loyalty, and courage. With the grandmother's health improving and the community inspired by everything they had witnessed, a wave of support rose around them. Neighbors who once felt invisible began helping each other more. The repaired community center became a place of shared meals, art classes, and charity drives. People whispered about the bond between the man and the girl, not as gossip but as a reminder that kindness still had the power to rebuild what life had broken. In time, the girl agreed to the adoption, not out of fear but out of trust and love. The paperwork moved forward, the grandmother stood proudly beside them, and the man felt a peace he had never known as he realized his life finally had a purpose beyond business and success. His world had transformed. Her world had transformed. And the community around them pulsed with a new sense of unity born from the simple truth that one act of kindness can ripple outward until it touches every corner of a struggling neighborhood. In the months that followed, the neighborhood slowly began to resemble a place reborn. The community center, once cold and empty, now echoed with laughter, shuffled footsteps, and the soft rhythm of renewed hope. Children gathered after school for free tutoring programs the man quietly sponsored. Elderly residents stopped by for warm meals prepared through community donations. Families who had barely spoken to one another now shared tables, stories, and support. The shift did not happen overnight, but it was unmistakable. A slow, steady rising of morale, stitched together through countless small acts of kindness sparked by the incredible bond between a man who had everything and a girl who once feared she had nothing left. The girl settled into her new life gradually, still carrying the memories of past struggles but no longer defined by them. She attended art classes 3 times a week, her sketchbook filled with drawings of the world she dreamed of building. One filled with bridges, gardens, and warm homes for children who felt forgotten. Her grandmother's health also improved with consistent care, and she visited often, proud to see the girl thriving in ways she once feared she never would. The man remained a constant presence in her life, not as a rescuer but as a guide, cheering her on as she explored new talents, met new friends, and blossomed into someone who finally believed her future could be bright. The bond between them continued to deepen, not because of obligation but because of shared growth. The man had transformed as well. Now, his days were no longer swallowed by endless board meetings or empty celebrations. He spent evenings at the community center, weekends at neighborhood gatherings, and entire afternoons listening to the girl talk animatedly about her dreams. For the first time, he felt grounded, rooted in something real, something human. He discovered that love, not wealth, was the true measure of a meaningful life. Their story wasn't about a billionaire saving a child. It was about 2 people, each carrying their own wounds, finding healing through compassion. It was about a community rediscovering its strength. It was about the ripple effect of simple kindness, the kind that begins quietly and eventually touches everyone in its path. Stories like theirs remind us that even the smallest gesture can change the direction of another person's life. And perhaps the most powerful truth of all is that kindness doesn't require wealth, influence, or perfection. It only requires a heart willing to care. If this story touched you, consider how you might carry its message into your own world. One act of kindness, no matter how small, might be the beginning of someone else's transformation. Thank you for watching. And remember, you have the power to make someone's world brighter today.